Oh, understand. I understand. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, August 25th, 2026 City Council Workshop. So next, well, first is really the public comment. Linda, has anyone signed up to speak?
No, Mayor, they have not.
Okay. Next item is for workshop. We have one presentation tonight, and it's on the Duhoxie Park Master Plan. And presenting tonight is Kimberly Terrell, our Director of Parks and Recreation.
Before I invite some guests up to speak, I want to give a little bit of background on Duhoxie Park and how we got to this point. As a reminder, Duhoxie Park was a 50-acre ranch that was dedicated to the city. There are some improvements out there that were funded in 2009 by Sugarland 4B. Last year, the county came to us and entered into a partnership with us for Duhoxie Park in an interlocal agreement. They took over the park in January of this year. They have $9.2 million allocated to Duhoxie and 1.1 for Ganaway Lake Park. In this agreement, it identifies potential features in this park as sports fields, trails, pickleball, parking, dog park, pavilions, landscaping, and utilities. And also as part of this, the county is taking care of all of the operations of this park. And I do want to point out before we get into their design that the City of Sugarland Master Plan does support stated features, and we've been working hand in hand with them to convey that these are what's important to us. They've asked our opinion. We've been involved in the planning process for those pieces. And again, this will be open to our residents and county residents as well. So the key terms of the agreement is an initial 50-year term with subsequent renewals. Again, the county is responsible for all of the operations and maintenance, but the city retains the oversight to make sure that the county is remaining compliant with the trust. As y'all recall, there are certain things in the trust that we have to maintain, like the building has to stay put, the pecan trees are protected. So just making sure that we have oversight for all those agreements and deed restrictions. The improvements in planning, we require them as part of that agreement to complete a master plan within 12 months with city review and resident input. So far they'll get into this. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but they've been working on public input. I do just want to mention that they came to Parks Board at the last Parks Board meeting this month and presented this plan to Parks Board, and Parks Board had a few questions, but we're overall very receptive and happy with the plan that they presented. We will have to approve any of the construction plans when we get to that and any major changes in this. And again, the historic house and trees are to be protected as part of this. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Commissioner Dexter McCoy and Todd Moeller with KCI.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is certainly a joy to be before you today. We were just here, was it 2 weeks ago, presenting before the Parks Board, and we had a good, robust conversation about this project. I am really freaking excited about the development of this park. If you all will recall, when the county entered into the agreement with the city of Sugarland, one of our commitments was to ensure that people in the community who will benefit from this get an input in what it looks like. In today's presentation, you will hear exactly what was the process we went through to get that feedback, what we learned, and then what we've put down as a plan for this project. But before I invite my partners here up to present this plan to you, I just first have to say a special thank you to Spencer, William, and also to Kimberly, who have been just absolutely incredible partners in this. Thank you for your partnership. And then, of course, thank you all for trusting us with this. One of the things I'll say before we get into the presentation is that it was very important for us on the onset of this project to make sure we appropriately honored the legacy of the family that donated this park to the public. And so we went through understanding what was the history of this area, what was the history of the Duhoxie family, what happened on this property, to really understand how this design needed to honor them appropriately. But then also too, it was a priority for us to maintain as much green space space as possible. We're becoming vastly urbanized, and it was very important for this design to not just be a bunch of concrete all over the place and buildings everywhere, but to be a green space that people can go to connect, that people can go to be able to reconnect with nature, and then to find some sort of peace. And so I hope you'll see that. Before I invite my colleague Todd up, I want to invite our Parks Director up just to say a few words about our partnership with City of Sugar Land's Parks Department thus far. I'll invite Darren McCarthy.
Commissioner, I just want to thank the City of Sugar Land for partnering with Fort Bend County and let you know that we're already doing some nice improvements in that park that the citizens of Sugar Land and all of Fort Bend County have been asking us for. One of the things that I'm really proud of, and you'll see it if you look on our Facebook pages, are the Eagle Scout projects. We have Eagle Scout projects there with bluebird nesting boxes, owl boxes. We have one that's trying to put up some bat houses. That'll be happening in the next couple of weeks. And then I've partnered with a group called Fort Bend Green. It's supported by the Fort Bend County Judge's Office. We're going to be doing a lot of wildflower seeding because a lot of what will be being built in Jurassic Park in the future, it's going to take a little while. So I want people driving by on Old Richmond Road to see the wildflowers as they're driving by in 6 months out of the year. That will also help us with a lot of the mowing those months too. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Todd, and he's going to go over with you all the improvements that we'd like to do for the park.
Thank you, Darren. And thank you, Commissioner, and all the commissioners that are present. And I also want to thank Fort Bend County for trusting us to be involved in the project and for the city and for their involvement in this in the whole process. We've, as has been mentioned, we really enjoyed working with Kimberly and ensuring that the plan that's being proposed is compatible with the City of Sugar Land Parks Master Plan. So with that, I will dive in and we'll go through the sort of the process and the main things that are proposed for the park. And the first thing we'd like to note is that there was a robust, as has been already mentioned, a public engagement process. It was on the site. Several of the people that are here in this room were present for this. We had a really pretty good turnout, very interactive methods in order to get people to provide input. And that was through another consultant that was hired just to do that. And that worked out. So we felt at the end of that process, we ended up with a lot of data sort through. I was actually kind of astounded at the amount of data that came out of that. It was, I want to say it was almost 100 pages worth of stuff. So that gave us a good idea for what we of course had ideas about what was going to be desired, but that really let us zero in and support what should be included. So among the list of the active recreation elements that are going to be proposed for the site is a playground. We have pickleball, disc golf, and sports field, both multi-use and fields are proposed, as you'll see in the plan. Within the passive recreation area, we of course have picnicking. We have the existing pavilion that I think probably you'll recognize from being out there, but we're going to use that same form and function and add on in several places. The idea of community gardens associated potentially with the Duhasek House itself, and of course trails to take advantage of some of the wooded areas that are still on site, and potentially winding through wildflower areas and other buffer areas that will exist on the site. One of the things that I didn't mention here, because it kind of bridges the gap between passive and active, is dog park. So we do have a dog park, large and small, that for the site as well. So with that, I'll dive into the master plan. One of the main, we're on Old Richmond and Voss, and with the new traffic circle there's already an entrance built into the park, right? So we'll obviously tie into that access to the site. The historic driveway to the house that's lined with those beautiful pecan trees, unfortunately, long-term isn't going to be wide enough to allow us to get fire access and all the things that we're required to have to build it out. But it's a wonderful feature, and it will absolutely be kept and celebrated. And the entry road will very likely be to the south side of that. And we will maintain basically active recreation on the north side. And future elements on the south side. And you'll see that'll make a little more sense as we get to phase one. But starting at the main entrance, we have some overflow parking, both there at the entrance and up toward the dog park, which is in the top left, the northwest of the site. You can see the sports fields that are up in that area as well. There would be proposed restrooms to service all of that activity in addition to the additional parking. As we kind of swing around counterclockwise from the fields, you see the actual historic home that's there that is envisioned to be renovated to provide meeting space and, potentially more that'll get defined in future phases of what it turns into. But we do envision an event lawn and spaces as well as the gardens, the community gardens that are associated with that facility. Again, with the idea of placemaking and making this a place that the residents identify with and contribute to and participate in. The buffer out on the west side next to the gully is going to remain largely open space, not passive open space, but we'll have pavilions in several places. And we also pick up with the disc golf on that side and loop it around through the existing wooded area that's on the southwest side of the property. So we would have that disc golf sort of carved into that area and then winding around to the front. There are 9 holes in what's shown on the plan. There is an active community group that has a large interest in participating in that design. So that's potentially something that will happen as part of phase one. So the disc golf wraps around and now sandwiched between the wooded areas and the disc golf and the now permanent drive, we'll expand the parking area to accommodate all of these features that we're talking about, but staying with the parking area located as it is more or less geographically, because there's a budget. We're trying to keep budget in mind when we do these things. So it is well located, centrally located, obviously on the site. So there will be another or an expansion of the existing restrooms on that side. So below the house and above the existing pavilion. The playground would be located in that area. You'd have parking for moms and families to be able to park and go straight out to the playground without actually crossing traffic in that area. And then finally, the last sort of infill area would be another large pavilion that would match the one that's out there for kids' parties and other rental opportunities. But again, another lawn that's associated with that for open play area and invite people to engage. And then right below that, courts. So we have pickleball and basketball courts, I think, were identified as the highest priorities in the surveys that were taken. One of the things that is woven throughout the entire property are these red dashed lines that you see. These are trails. So we would like to make a network, one sort of larger loop trail, but then several little breakouts, right, to get people from A to B within the more active spaces and to carve some more peaceful, quiet areas within the existing wooded area. The wildflower areas that were mentioned by Darren were envisioned again to be the frontage, so that we have that really natural, attractive face from Richmond, and we can do that as part of phase one, which is a great segue to phase one. Phase one, we're looking to implement what you see on the plan, which would be the overflow parking or the parking near the traffic circle and again up by the dog park. We have some water fountains brought in order to again support the activity, but not yet going full on to the restrooms on the north side. We have the fields, the cricket and the multi-use fields, dog parks, the parking, and and the disc golf. And then, of course, we have like sort of all the realities of doing things, right? You have drainage, you have electric that we'll be looking at, we have water service. So all of those things will be sort of brought up to speed and set up so that when phase 2 eventually does happen, all that stuff's already in place. One of the ideas I mentioned, the alley of pecans leading up to the home. One of the ideas to celebrate that area is as a great opportunity shaded for markets, right? And we've all seen all the 10 by 10 arts fair set up, et cetera. So we feel like that's just a really perfect spot to do that. Those are from the Duhasek family, right? They set up perfectly for that. And the idea that we actually are playing with the idea that we're going to add pecan trees in a grove or groves around the site to help augment that. And potentially it's even been talked about making that a community event of the sort of the pecan harvest annually. So those are the ideas that are being thrown around, and these are the things that I think you can expect to see in phase 1. And timing. So we're at the blue "You Are Here" locator icon there at between 3 and 4. So we started with the concepts, we went through the public engagement process, and you've looked at the master plan and the breakout of phase 1. The next big number 4 there is the actual development of the construction documents, which we estimate will take around 6 months. 5 is the phase 1 bidding and award. 6 is the actual construction. And then, of course, the thing that we all want to get to, which is the grand opening at 7. So the 6 months, the phase and the bidding around 3 months, and the construction hopefully at 6 months. And we are, like I said, we're between 3 and 4 right now. So we're expecting to get started on those shortly. And I believe that's good. Thank you. And then any open for any questions from staff.
Well, this looks like an absolutely wonderful plan, and I know that the Foxes would be very happy with that. One question, what is the opinion of the probable cost for that?
Probable cost. So the estimated cost on the master plan in today's dollars is around $6.5 million. Is what we have estimated. There are certainly some unknowns in there right now, but that's where we are.
Okay, great. Thank you. Councilmember Bonaparte?
A couple questions. Great job, by the way. Looking forward to this. First question is, with the trail system, does it connect, or is the plan for it to connect to any of the existing City of Sugar Land trail network?
We have talked about it, and there are, as we are well aware, there's literally just 2 road crossings to the south to connect this to Coleman, and there's a real opportunity there. It is not part of this project, but I know the county is aware of that opportunity, as is the city, and it's certainly, it begs to be connected. So yes, that is it's on everybody's radar. It is not part of this budget.
And that did come up during public engagement as well.
Okay, Councilmember Single next, and then
First of all, thank you. I think very good plan. My question is, would this be free to use by the resident, like golf course and the fields, cricket fields and others, or would it be pay to play?
Maybe a question for Dan.
So with the parks in Fort Bend County, everything is free to play. However, if you want to reserve the field just for your team, you're welcome to pay to make a reservation. So if no one's using the field, they're open to the public anytime.
One additional question. And would there be staff on site, or would it be unattended? Would there be some operating staff?
It would depend on how busy the park is. So if we have a lot of people there, then I could ask the commissioners to give me some more staff. I don't know if they.
You can ask.
Councilmember Watley?
Thank you. I have 2 questions. What state are the restrooms in right now? Do they need renovating? And is it possible, I'm looking at that, can you go back to phase 1, please? Is that easy?
This is a master plan, that's phase 1.
So there's not but 1 set of restrooms on there. Is that going to be enough to get us through? I guess it depends on when phase 2 comes on, because that's a lot of possible usage. Are those restrooms going to be adequate, and what state are they in?
It is not ideal, but the timeline and the permitting involved with putting the restroom in and the budget involved on the north side is prohibitive in that regard to get it into phase one. That is a high priority and it is recognized that it's an issue. The restrooms themselves, although small, are in good shape on the existing ones. So that will be one of the priorities of phase two.
Follow up, please.
Follow it.
The second thing is on the next master plan, you have a pavilion, which I think is fabulous because that there will draw a lot of people there. So are you activating that pavilion with something, or is it just to be there? What is that gonna look like?
So again, the pavilion lawn was envisioned as a space to help activate that. There's all the court use that will be adjacent to it. The playground over on the other side, in general, that whole southern area, we think will help activate those areas. If during design, that'll be in phase two, so the design of that is out. If specific things are desired and they come up during that design process, then we'll have the liberty to introduce some of them.
Follow it.
Thank you. So I'm kind of piggybacking on Councilmember Single's point. To activate that pavilion and bring musical, community plays, stuff like that, I think would be fabulous, because even if they monetize it and have it as a source of funds, it's not gonna be a lot, I know. But that right there is gonna be exciting, and it will really activate the whole park, getting people in there and getting used to it. Because I know if you have a play or something, or a musical group coming in, people who haven't been there before will come just to see that, and they'll go, oh, wow. I love this idea, it's great.
One of the early ideas that is not represented here, but maybe it's a phase two thing that happens, was the integration of an informal play area that was integrated with the grading that's already kind of in place over here as, and I don't use the word because I don't want everybody to, but amphitheater, right? So you have a sloped area, right? That would facilitate that. But yeah, those ideas are out there, and if they're done appropriately, they don't have to be cost prohibitive. So.
Just a clarification, I noticed on the phase one slide that you do not show the new wider driveway. So how long before that driveway gets there, and does that create some sort of a safety hazard for us?
Well, not the fire access is the big one that kind of pushes us out. So I think the perspective is, it's been like this for a while. We're just gonna add some facilities to it, live with it like it is for the moment, and then this is the long-term plan. The provision of the parking up front, and it probably won't, look like that. It'll be developed and designed, but I think that'll alleviate some of the traffic that's going to be on that road, especially for people who are going to the fields.
Councilmember Bedford.
No, it's nice to see the development of this. I remember driving past this many a times, and it was basically a big open grass field with the pavilion in the back. So it's good to see development. For your community engagement, can you walk me through, was it mostly Sugar Land residents, Fort Bend County, a good mix for both?
Oh, wow. It was a mixture of both. It was actually all there were I kind of wish now we had that presentation or that slide with us. There was a map, where are you from, with a target of, it was a half a mile, whatever. And there were a lot of people from, I will say the region, and within, say, 3 miles. And then of course it scattered out. But there was, the people that were there were interested in this property, right? They appeared to be the people who were going to be attending or going to use the facilities. So whether they were in and out of that, I know the city boundary is just down here. So whether they were in and out of that, I think some weren't. Our bullseye centered on the site versus the city, if you know what I mean. So the whole north part of that was outside of the city of Sugar Land.
And I just want to add that we posted the survey on our Facebook page and got a lot of traction that way as well. I know that when we posted that, y'all ended up getting a lot of results there. So it was definitely something that they received input further afield than just the public input session, that they had a survey where they got a lot of results as well.
I'm curious, do you know, that's relatively close to Houston? It limits to humans. How many respondents were from the city of Houston, or do you know?
I don't think, people are very hesitant to give up their addresses. So I can tell you that I don't think we know exactly.
Yeah, just curious.
Councilmember Besher?
And then to that point, you know, whether it was the survey engagement or maybe it's the needs of the county, but go walk me through how we were proposing 2 cricket fields versus say maybe a baseball field.
I want to see if it's captured in this photo, because I think it might be. Oh, it's not. So there's a board just like this that had the different, you know, activities on there. The cricket fields, I couldn't read cricket field. It was completely filled with dots, the whole square, which was notably more than any other area. So that was the reason, combined with looking at the master plan and the area and the demographics, and you look at it makes sense. And so that was what was requested. That's why we have that. The idea is to make these fields multi-use, right? So they're not only going to be functioning in that capacity.
And we also tried to look at understanding what assets existed in the city already and in the area versus where there might be gaps. Cricket is definitely a big one where there's a gap. And we hear a lot of requests for more space for that, not so much on baseball, because you have like the city and the county both have invested a decent amount in baseball and soccer fields, but not as much in cricket. So that's why you see more of that. The thing that shocked me that came up was the request for tennis courts. I didn't know that people were that interested in tennis, but that did come up from a few respondents as well. And of course, pickleball.
Mayor,
Yes.
And their little great grandma.
Yeah, Councilmember Jacobson?
thank you. What about the neighbors and noise or lighting at night? Are we gonna have lights and we're gonna have be encroaching on the neighbors?
This is not envisioned to be a lit facility, or as have been made aware. So the not in my backyard, the buffering, we will provide buffering adjacent to the communities, particularly on the north and the northeast side there. That's the village of Oak Lake and those residents. So whatever existing landscape buffer that's there now will remain, and we will plant in addition to that against those homes.
Well,
Thank
sorry.
you.
Just
Follow
one,
up, please.
sorry, council member, just one correction. We likely will have lights out here. That has been one of the biggest especially for those folks who are practicing and doing their stuff in the fall. We can't get away with having these here without lighting. But where you just go up the road to Four Corners, for instance, where we have the soccer fields and a cricket pitch there, we have lighting there. The biggest complaint from residents it's just the balls that were going into their yards. And so we did install netting for that, and we'll count for some of that in this plan ultimately. But the lighting, we haven't heard as much, or if any, real complaints about.
Follow up, Councilmember Jacobson?
Yeah, I'm just guessing because it's a planned community that all the neighbors who back up have fences or some sort of barrier to keep people from running into their yards or chasing after stray cricket balls and whatnot.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Mike?
Yeah, I'm probably the only person in the room that knew Miss Duhasek. It was my project to bring this land in, and so I got to know her really well. And such a amazing person, right? And while I have no doubt she would not know what cricket pickleball or disc golf, or I do think she would just be tickled at the, both of our organizations partnering to deliver this. And so I just want to thank everybody involved, but she really, really wanted it to be a kind of a special place, a gift to the public, and I think this will do that, so.
What else? Any other questions? Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Commissioner McCoy, Darren and Todd for coming in. And this is a really, really exciting plan. I'm so happy it's moving forward. So thank you all again. Appreciate it.
And as we move through the actual construction documents, we'll make sure to stay in touch with you all. And if you have any additional feedback, or if after this you think, oh, hey, I forgot to mention that, please let us know. We want to make sure that this is truly representative of what the community wants, and y'all represent the community. So we'd love to have more feedback. Thank you all so much.
Great job. Thank you. So, having no further business, I have a motion to adjourn.
You adjourn.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
This is what changed.